Hello everyone, Right Guy. Today we are going to talk about the differences in between mesh, wireless, and wired networks. So let's go ahead and pull up a router and a modem, and we're going to get rid of the internet. So normally these devices, they might be one, they might be two, they might be three, but normally you have a modem that provides signal to your Wi-Fi router. In this case, we are going to have a completely wireless network. So we have a phone and we have some computers. All of these are on Wi-Fi. So they are connected via this wireless router here. The pros to this is you have a one device. It's easy to set up. There's no need for wires running through the wall or for you to plug in another device and another outlet. You normally have one or two devices, and this will be the single point of your house. Normally, you can log into it with a computer. You can set it up on your smartphone. There's various apps and tools for you to set up these routers. The only downfall to this is that you have a single point. So if you have dead zones in your house, you might look for a Wi-Fi extender, which is going to roll us into mesh network. So I'm going to remove these devices off of our screen and let's roll up our mesh nodes. So in this instance, you will have a main router or your main node, and this will be basically the brains of the operation. And these mesh nodes, if they are not connected with Ethernet, which is normally how it is, they are connected wirelessly to your main node. And what this does is these nodes communicate and basically act as a Wi-Fi extender, except they're a little bit smarter. So if you have a phone and you are going throughout your house and you go from mesh node 1 to closer to mesh node 2, the main node will detect that, or maybe the brains are in the actual nodes and they will switch your device, so you always have the best connectivity. So as you're walking throughout the house, you might be closer to the main node, which gives you a stronger signal, but then you walk to the other side of the house and then mesh node 1 has your better connectivity. This is all a fantastic way for those on a low budget or for those that don't have the capability to have a wired Ethernet backhaul. So what happens when we have our wonderful Ethernet backhaul? Well, this is one of the preferred methods, is that you have your main node that has an Ethernet cord that runs into your mesh nodes. And so when you are transmitting data, instead of it sending wirelessly, which is normally latency, if you can recall to our very first or second video, they now run on a Ethernet backhaul. So this kind of works in the way that a wireless network does with access points. So mesh is a fancy name for Wi-Fi extenders, in my opinion. They do have different technology that brings them up, but if you come into a situation where you can use an Ethernet wired backhaul instead of a mesh system, you can purchase two other very cheap routers and turn them into access point mode, which is all that a mesh system really is. Now, that may be complicated for some people because you will have to log into each node or each access point and set them up if they are not a complete mesh system. And there is a lot of alternatives out there that claim to be mesh ready, where you can add them all in a single app and have that app control them, and for the ease of setup. You also have a completely wired setup. Now, you are not going to see this in many houses. You will see this in some businesses, but a fully wired setup is going to mean that you do not have this access point inside of this device, or maybe you do and it's disabled. So in this scenario, you're going to have your computers directly connected to your router for all internet services, and you're not going to have any wireless capability at all. The speed of this network is going to be maximized, but also the range and flexibility on this is going to be limited to where you can get your Ethernet drops. As a quick recap, your traditional wireless network that normally only has a single device or maybe two devices as pictured here to control all of your Wi-Fi from one single point. This is normally done on a smart app, or you log in onto your browser 192.168.0.1. You set up your network's name, you set up the password, and you're good to go. The next one is the traditional wireless network with access points. This, I think, is the most ideal way to do it. This is when you have the ability to run Ethernet to those dead zones in your house, and you are able to put up a fairly cheaper access point compared to a mesh system. You will have to log into all of your access points, as well as if your main router is wireless, you have to make sure that the network names are exactly the same and that the passwords are the same so you can roam across your house. And then we have our wired network, which is a group of devices that is completely wired. There's normally no setup at all here. You plug everything into your router and you are good to go.